And welcome back to a brand new episode of the 343 Football Podcast here on the Sportycast YouTube channel as well as our Facebook page. So, welcome to wherever you guys are in the world, whether it's morning, evening. We love to have you with us. Um, Once again, joined by my trusted co host. Ziad Parker, all the way in the UAE. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, all okay, man. Lots of international football filling our calendars, but looking forward to transitioning into the club stuff going into this weekend. So, yeah, lots to talk about. Looking forward to it.
Love that, love that. Yeah, we definitely do have a lot on our agenda today, and I'll roll that through to you guys very soon after welcoming another friend of our show, Tara Lee. How are you doing?
You know what? I don't even know why I'm here because I know that you want me to talk about Liverpool versus Man City, but what must I say? Because the reality is that it doesn't matter what I think. The last time I was here, I still had some sort of belief that there was something that was going to click and Arne Slot somehow knew what he was doing. Now I don't know what. So I'm going to share my opinion, but at the end of the day, Arne Slot's going to do what Arne Slot's going to do. So anyways, it's lovely to see you guys. I'm glad you guys have been having a good week.
I love that. That was probably one of the most fiery introductions that we've had from a guest, and I'm absolutely here for it. But yeah, our agenda today, we're going to be doing a bit of a recap on the internationals that's happened over the past 5 or 7 days. Um, More of a spotlight on the matches from last night. You know, the World Cup spots that finally got filled up. So we now have the groups finalized for the World Cup in June. We are also going to speak a bit about Arsenal's injury withdrawals during the international breaks. So that's going to be a fun little thing to speak about. We are also going to speak about the fact that Spurs sacked Igor Tudor and then hired Roberto De Zerbi almost immediately. And then, yeah, we have a FA Cup quarterfinal schedule coming up this weekend. And the main course is Liverpool versus, or Man City versus Liverpool. I think it is at the Etihad, yeah. And then, because it's April Fool's Day, we have a little bit of a fun game to end the show off with. So, without further ado, Tara Lee, we were speaking about Fabio Cannavaro having long hair not too long ago today. We were reminiscing about the times when Italy was actually a good football nation.
Oh my
Just speak to me a
God.
bit about that. We've seen how Italy's been performing over the past few years. You've noticed their sort of steady decline. Um, just give me your thoughts
They
on what's happening in Italian football.
they are such a far cry from the team that they were when we were children. When we were children, we were all wanted. I even have like this Italy top from when I was a child because I was like, wow. When you talk about Fabio Cannavaro, he actually has hair now as well. You know, he's done with the bald phase, but there were so many legends, and now it's like, what is this Italy team? And it's so sad. What is this, like the fourth time that they have not qualified for the World Cup?
Good.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely ridiculous that a team like that doesn't qualify. It's like a team like Brazil not qualifying. Because if we talk about that era in football, we also have to talk about teams like Brazil. We don't see that kind of football anymore. I was watching highlights of Ronaldinho on Monday evening, just little clips, and I was like, I don't see that kind of football anymore. I almost forgot how amazing the fancy footwork, the samba, cooking Stevie G, amazing. We don't see that anymore. All the football that we see today is exactly the same. There's no creativity. There's no freedom anymore. Everybody's just following the same strategy, the same formations, playing the same positions. I don't know when we lost that, but we have lost that. And we've lost that era where Italy was amazing and a World Cup contender. We've lost that time when we saw players like Ronaldinho and CR9. We don't see that now. I don't know how you guys feel. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being too critical of today's football.
Ziad, as an Italian supporter yourself, I'm
Oh,
gonna
God.
point the mic your way, and you can give us some insight from your part as well.
Look, it's hard to say Italian support, and I think what I used to like about Italy, some of the things that Tara spoke about now, that solid defense, like they had a signature style of play, and it was built around these amazing centre backs. Even their right backs, left backs, they were all like solid defenders, but they could also handle the ball, which kind of similar to the modern day defender, but where they also shone was in that midfield. They just had guys that could do everything. They could tackle, they could create, and they did it all in a way where it was like they were never rushed. Like the first person that comes to mind is obviously Andrea Pirlo, and just how he was on the ball, like never phased, never fussed, and they just don't have any of that anymore. And Fabregas actually spoke about this recently because with Como, they were asking him, why are you building your team around all these players who aren't from Italy? There's no youngsters. And he's like, I want to pick Italian youngsters. Show me where to find them. And nobody can show him where to find them because in Italy, there seems to be this concept where you have to be experienced to play in the first team or experienced to play in the national team. But how do you get experience? You have to actually get onto the field. And unfortunately, with the way the leagues are going, especially the Serie A, they aren't getting those players to come through. And unfortunately, if you look at their lineup on paper, it's not even that good. If your line is being led by Moise Kean, as good as he is, it's a far cry from Christian Vieri, Alessandro Del Piero, those type of players. So I think they definitely have an issue with the development. And then on that thing about the style of play and so on, I think it's just the globalization of the game where results matter more than entertainment. I think it's just gone to that point where Brazilians used to entertain you, right? They used to play with flair and they were winning as well. And then at some point, the more robust and strict style of play came through, and you minimize risk and you increase. I mean, it's suppose it's the same in a lot of aspects of life where they just take out that ability for you to make mistakes because everything is about winning and winning at all costs. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, I was looking at some of the teams. Like if you look at Bosnia, for example, who beat Italy, they do it with a physicality first approach. They have the most fouls per 90 minutes in the European nations. They play a very rigid formation. They get the ball wide. They got two tall center forwards that they cross the ball to, and that's how they play. And there's going to be a lot of teams like that in the World Cup, unfortunately. And we can only hope for the magic of a James Rodriguez type player to come through and entertain, which I'm hoping will come from the likes of Turkey or Turkey, if you're saying it properly, Arda Güler and Kenan Yildiz, Hakan Calhanoglu as well. So yeah, let's see if some teams can entertain us, but it is a lot different than it was in the past. So I'm with you on that one, Tara. I also think there's just a that it's almost like not encouraged anymore to express yourself because you need to fit the template, you need to follow the data, and you need to just do whatever it takes to win. And unfortunately, it's not as entertaining.
Yeah, you also have like the odd player trying to like sort of break through that norm, like somebody like Vinicius Junior. He's still very much all about the vibes. He tries to do his skill matches when he can, and somebody like Ryan Shirky also like just taking the Mickey out of a player. Like I mean, that's the type of football that we miss. That's the type of sort of mentality that we miss. Just like entertaining the fans.
Then they get heavily criticized.
Yeah,
Exactly.
When they do that.
exactly. Because like I said, it's not the norm anymore. So now you're going against the norm. Whereas back like 20, 25 years ago, Robinho, R9, Ronaldinho, they used to do this game in, game out, and people used to love it. Used to get praised for doing it. So it would have been,
Mm.
it would have been. I'm very curious, should I say, to know how they would have fit into the modern game if they had to like come through and do all of these things in the modern game. Would people's sort of admission change on like, okay, like this is actually fun to watch, but because there's only one person in every like 5 or 6 teams that's actually doing it, I think it's a bit of a different end of the story. Just with the other teams
Can we
this past
rely on?
weekend.
Sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
No. You can go ahead. Go ahead.
No, it's fine. I was gonna say, can we maybe as South Africans rely on Bafana Bafana to entertain us in these World Cup fixtures,
Oh, I'm
given what we
hoping for
saw
it.
last night?
I'm hoping for it. I mean, what even after what we saw last night, that was like a banger that Mbukazi scored. Like, I mean, that's like he scored a
Yes.
worldie, but also just like the way that they were playing on the pitch as well. Like there were moments that they were playing with the flair that we want to see them with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really hoping that when they get to the finals now in June, that they know that the world spotlight is on them, and they have the sort of um they have the room to entertain us.
Yeah, I hope so
Um
too. And I hope that they get to play more games. I don't know exactly how many more friendlies or warm up games they're going to have before actually playing the tournament, but they definitely need more of that because I think then we'll see everything come together.
yeah,
Because what we saw last night wasn't disastrous against Panama.
yeah. And I mean, like Panama's in the World Cup as well, so it will. It was actually a good sort of indicator to see how the teams are going to be at the end of March compared to 3 months later. Um,
Yeah.
like the sort of strides that they both can make on the biggest stage. Yeah, Odo was saying in the chat they now call it showboating. He also saying that players go to Italy to retire. Ramiz is saying that we need more Anthony's, which is, I mean, he's not wrong. Like, he's not wrong. Like, even though what Anthony did was looking like a bit of a fidget spinner, but I mean, it's entertainment nonetheless. So, yeah, just with the other teams this past weekend, we saw Turkey also qualify, as you had said. Denmark was knocked out. Poland was knocked out. There a lot of big names in that Denmark team, in that Danish team, that now won't be entering the World Cup. Robert Lewandowski as well. He that was probably going to be his final World Cup. He posted on Instagram after that like something about saying goodbye. So yeah, I think he's calling it into his international career as well. So yeah, just talk to me about this Danish team. Like there's a lot of big personalities in there. Ultimately, they couldn't make it work. Even in the Czechia team that qualified, that knocked them out, they played quite well over there as well.
Yeah, it was actually a very entertaining matchup between the two teams. And I mean, it was always going to be tough because they were very, not similar, but in terms of the way they ranked and so on, they were fairly evenly matched. I think probably a better way to describe it. And unfortunately, Denmark just didn't have enough in them to come through. I think it went through to penalties, right?
Yeah.
And it's just they played really well. They created a lot. I thought Damsgaard was really good. I really like him. He's a fantastic player, creative. When Eriksen came on, he also added something. But it's just one of those things when only one team can go through. And Czechia did their thing through the set pieces. They got their corners, free kicks sorted. They got their guys
Thomas
attacking
Suchek,
the
man,
dead ball
what a guy.
situations. So yeah, it was a great volley. And then they just held their shape and they held their nerve when it came to the penalty. So it is tough for a team like Denmark to be out, but I think Czechia also have a strong heritage in this competition. You know, if you go back, I'm pretty sure it's Pavel Nedved was the last time they were really good. Karol Poborski, you know, those type of players that come from there. And then in more recent times, I think Thomas Rosicky was in one of the World Cups, did fairly well. So they are a good side. And yeah, Denmark just came up short, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I mean with that now we sort of have an indicator on the groups that are finalized for the 2026 World Cup that's happening in USA, Canada, and in Mexico. Tara, have you looked at the groups to sort of identify which ones you think are the tough ones? Is there a group of death that you maybe picked out? Is there a group that you think is probably has an easier run? Um, yeah.
I think, looking at it, I think
They're
Belgium
gonna run out
have.
of letters on the alphabet for all the groups.
Look, there's a lot of groups. That's why I'm just calling it up here quickly. South Africa is in
Yeah.
A with Mexico, South Korea, and the Czech Republic. I think that we couldn't
Yeah.
have chosen or couldn't have gotten a better group. I think this is a good group for us. I think anybody can do anything in that group. And I think that South Africa can do well in that group. Argentina, which is Group J, they with Algeria, Austria, Jordan. I think it's also a comfortable group for Argentina. I think they will probably top that group. France, it may look on paper like it's a little bit of a tough draw for them because they have Haaland, they have Norway, they have Senegal,
Well,
and
Haaland is Norway essentially. So
basically, it's Zimbabwe versus Haaland for that one. I think despite that, they'll probably top their group, but I think that that's going to be a tough one. Brazil also, people are calling this a group of death. They have Morocco and Scotland. But I think with their attacking flair, I think that they would probably be the favorites in that group and maybe the favorites overall. Who knows? And then England, you never know. I think that they would be upset that Croatia is in their group. But maybe we can't really judge England on these past couple of games because they were missing players. And also, like, I don't know, why are they leaving Trent out of the mix? I'm just asking, what is...
that's something that you're gonna have to ask Thomas Tuchel. I mean, he's being very coy on his reasoning for that. So I don't think that we're ever gonna get an answer for it, or we're gonna get the truthful answer for it. I don't think.
Because then Ben White gets the call up after a very long time. I mean, it wasn't bad for him, but I mean, it was just confusing, I suppose. And I think that Thomas Tuchel was saying that he's already seen, what Trent can do, but he's already seen what half the players on the squad can do. So I don't feel like
Yeah,
that's an excuse for not getting the call up. But anyways, who do
yeah,
you think
it's a weird
is
one.
the one of the toughest groups?
I think I'm going for Group F. I think that's the
Yeah.
toughest one in my opinion. We have Netherlands, Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia over there. So it might not be like heavy hitters, but there's a lot of quality in those sides that I think would make for very entertaining fixtures come the World Cup. And then I think South Africa's in probably one of the toughest groups themselves. I think the fact that we are with Mexico, with South Korea, with Czechia, that's a very tough one for us to try and get through, and it's going to be a very good test for our boys to see how they've come along. I mean, Hugo Bruce has done extremely well, and I think this is a really good sort of test for our boys to be put to yeah to see how they measure up against some of the world's best.
But what other group would you have seen them in and thriving in, if not that group?
To be fair, like I don't mind the fact that they are in this group. Like I want to see South Africa being like tested against some of the best players. So I feel like if we were in a group with sort of a weaker some weaker teams, then I think that our boys would have they would have underestimated the team or something. Now the fact that they have to have game face on every single game for the entirety of the group stage, I think that would fare better for us, rather than us going up against, or no disrespect, but like Curacao, for example.
Mm.
So yeah, I think it's a really good outcome for us in terms of, let's try to test us against some of the best players in the world. Siad, anything from you?
Yeah, so with these rankings, right? So Africa is pretty low down, which is how they find themselves in a group like this. Unfortunately, it's just the way the global ranking
Yeah,
system works. And what I look at when I look at the groups is who's the easy game. And like if you take Group B, for example, you've got Canada against Qatar. And Qatar is the
yeah,
one team that's ranked lower than South Africa in the rankings. And unfortunately for us, our team is the team on paper that is everyone's easier game, right? So if you South Korea, for example, you're circling the South African fixture as a potential 3 point, so to Mexico and Czechia, obviously, right? And because of Europe's depth, you end up getting a team like Czechia as the fourth team in your group, whereas in the other groups you might have, like you mentioned, Curacao already. There's Haiti. There's
yeah,
teams like that you might have fared better against if you were able to get into one of those groups per se. But obviously, we also have that where we actually watching South African football and we can see how good they play, and
Yeah.
it's not going to be as easy as other teams think, right? So I think the group is probably one of the harder groups, Group A, and then like you said with Group F, I also feel like that is one that's there to watch. But because we are African side, you're not going to be in the same group as a Cape Verde, for example, and even that wasn't going to be easy, right? So
Yeah.
it is tough, but that's what makes the World Cup fun, man. You have this, anything can happen, and hopefully teams play with freedom. Like if you South Africa, there's no point trying to nick a result and draw and stuff. You might as well just go play, and try and outplay the opposition. And if you go through, you go through. If you don't, you don't. So yeah, it's
Listen,
exciting. I love this 48 team World Cup. I like to see, for me, that's a World Cup, man. Like I want to see
yeah,
yeah,
participation. I want to see teams that I don't normally hear of. Like I'm not
yeah,
for the strength versus strength, and I want to see more European teams because they have better teams. I
yeah,
don't care. I want to see the Curaçaos of the world, the Panamas,
yeah,
and you get to meet these interesting players with amazing stories. And that for me is the magic of the World Cup, which I think has changed quite a bit with the game becoming so professional and so capitalist in some ways, where it's all about money. You miss that, there's a guy who's a plumber in his spare time, or there's a guy he's got a full-time
yeah.
job to come play at the World Cup or whatever the case is. And that's the magic and the purpose, I think, of growing the game and putting everyone on the stage. So that's the one thing I'm quite excited about when it comes to this expanded World Cup, 48 teams.
Mm. But you know what? You talk about there being easy games and easier teams, and who South Africa in terms of the ranking, who could have been easier. I feel like there are no easy games and easy teams. And even if South Africa was in a group with those aforementioned teams, it doesn't guarantee a result. And I think that's why I'm okay where South Africa is, because you put them in any other group, there are no easy games, especially for a team like South Africa. We haven't qualified for the World Cup in a very long time. We are happy to be here. We worked hard to be here. We're going to give it our all as South Africans. The nation's going to be behind this team for the first time in a very long time. And so I want to see them go out there and fight for every single win. That's what I want to see. And I think that we'll get that in Group A. I feel like we have a good chance of going through to, what's it, the round of 32, or because I know the top two, and possibly, it's a lot. It's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah. But I want to see us go through to the next round. That's what I want to
yeah,
see happen. So I feel like even though you are mentioning like Curacao and other teams that are maybe ranked a bit lower than South Africa, I still don't think that that would be an easy game. And I think that the stronger teams will be mistaken. They will have deep regrets if they treat any of the teams in their group thinking this is an easy win for
yeah,
us.
yeah. I respect that. Just get
Yeah, it's
go to
better to
some.
be the underdog, I guess, because you can play Everyone's
Yeah.
expecting to lose anyway, so it's a good place to be. The big difference, I
Exactly.
guess, on that point is goals. Where are your goals coming from? And we're a bit wasteful up front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just need to be a little bit more clinical because you don't get that many opportunities. So when you do get it, you have to make it count. So I think that will be the big difference. If the goal scorers can come into the World Cup in form, then it's gonna help quite a bit, especially the like I think it's Apollos. He's a key
Yeah.
player when it comes to the goal.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we just need guys. Listen, you're not gonna get 10 chances here, man. You're gonna get 3 or 4. Make it count.
Yeah.
And yeah, we
Don't
can do
waste
some
it.
damage for sure.
Man, we need Ikram Reyners to get a seat on the plane to the World Cup, man. Like I don't know what the beef is over there, but I mean we need some backup for Lau Foster, and when Lau Foster like when his head is in the game, we need somebody there that's gonna be like willing and like excited to take his chance and up for it. So like let's hope. I think we need to start something like a what you call those things, the those
Petition.
petitions, yeah, for Reynes to get a seat. So Hugo Bruce can actually see, because he said for like 70% of the squad he's made up already. So there are still spaces for other players to sort of put in a good performance for themselves and sort of book their seat on the plane. So let's hope. I'm just going to go to some of the comments over here. We have Odwa saying that England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama is very tough. Jason saying that England only go as far as Saka is fit. Oh, as when Saka is fit. Um, we have, as long as Bafana doesn't lose the first game, that could be good. Ramiz has that at least we would win best jersey. And yeah,
Fair.
that away jersey is fire.
Yeah.
Jason, Son is going to learn about Mbukazi. I mean, they like it's going to be interesting to see how some of these world class players are going to be taking our Bafana players. So that's going to be fun. Oh, this is probably when Ziad was speaking about the magic of the 48 team World Cup, describing the FA Cup. Yeah, so that is that segment all done and dusted. We are now going to move on hastily to a team that pulled out about 11 players during this international break. I don't know if there's something that this team needs those players for. There's about 3 of them that needs to be medically sort of assessed back at the club, and that is Mikel Arteta's Arsenal. So I'm not going to harp much on about it, because I know 20 years ago somebody like Sir Alex Ferguson was doing something similar. He used to pick out like about 5 or 6 players every international break. He used to look at the 5 players that were the most important to his final run of the season, and basically just tell them, okay, like fake an injury, or just say that you need to have a rest for something. I don't know. But yeah, it seems like Arteta has done this with 11 players. Ziad,
Yeah.
you are probably quite chuffed that your players are going to be quite well rested for the final 8 games of the season.
Yeah.
You'd hope so. You'd hope that it's actually not real injuries. The funny thing is, again, it all falls in line with what Tara said at the beginning with how the game's changing, and we
Yeah,
we always believe in our hearts that your country comes first, right? But what we've learned, it's always club before country, because the club is your employer, right? And we've seen it in the past a lot. I mean, it happens all the time. Players get pulled out for various they use the word niggle quite often. So I'm not surprised. I'm actually, to be honest, I am quite surprised to see it, because in the past we never used to do it as much. And then obviously the volume of players that got sent back, and then you see in the news it's like the national teams doctors are sending them back, whatever the case is, and a lot of teams have sent players back, especially with the second friendly. And that's the thing. If it was qualifiers, the players would stay. If you look at Sweden, for
yeah,
example, Gyökeres stayed and played. Norgard was with Denmark. So if there were games that
Fiori.
mattered,
Yeah,
the players played. There was no issue there. None of the teams who needed players had their players stay. It's mostly guys who are playing friendlies who got pulled out. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Matthias Cunha is out, right? He got injured for Brazil. or was that fake
I
news?
don't know if that was April Fools or not. So yeah, like there was a Bruno Fernandes injury today. There was a Mateus Cunha injury today. There was a Amad Diallo injury today. So I don't know if it's April Fools or not.
Yeah,
So
because that
we'll
that
have to wait
Cunha
and
one
see.
is big. If that is true, because that said 5 to 6 months, that means he misses the World Cup. That means he is out for United's, you know, final part of the season. So that's a tough one. But yeah, I got nothing against pulling guys out for friendlies. At the end of the day, we see it in cricket. We were talking about cricket before, right? We were talking about just cricket, and you see in cricket how many players go play franchise leagues and miss national team duty. So yeah, it is what it is. And if it works out, if they get the results in their favor and guys are fit when it matters, then it could prove to be a smart thing.
Yeah, like I saw the only manager that I really saw speak out against it was Thomas Tuchel, and he basically just said it's disappointing because he lost players like Declan Rice, he lost players like Saka. And if I'm not mistaken, Saka wasn't an injury, it was just he had to be medically assessed. And he didn't want to be assessed in the England camp. He wanted to come back, or the Arsenal doctor wanted him to come back to be assessed at the club. So yeah, like Tuchel, he said like he was disappointed because this was basically the last chance for him to assess the group of players in the group that he wants to see together, and sort of make a final sort of decision in his mind. But I don't think I've seen any other manager of any national team come out and say anything. I don't know if that's also Tuchel's bias towards Chelsea, the fact that he has some history with Arsenal. Who knows? We don't have Sadiq in the chat to sort of clarify that. But yeah, Tara, from a Liverpool supporter point of view, what do you make of this? And yeah, it's
100%.
okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Arteta put out a call. And I actually heard somebody say on another podcast, Arteta basically issued an Order 66. Like in Star Wars. Was like, okay, let's do this. And then all of the players like mobilized. They're like, okay, we're injured. We need to be assessed. Yes, we've got a niggle. All of that. And I almost don't blame him. I almost don't blame him.
There's
I
a lot
saw
riding on
what
it. Yeah.
happened. Exactly. I saw what happened to them against Man City in the Carabao Cup final. And yeah, I think that somebody like Arteta, that was a wake-up call. That was the true test if you are an Arsenal supporter, because you were watching that final and you were thinking to yourself, this is the test. Are our biggest fears about to become a reality? And that answer was yes in that final, because they all but disappeared. So I think that the focus is on winning the Premier League. And if I'm Arteta, that's my focus. I'm forgetting about everything else. This is my opportunity to win a Premier League. I mean, that's how I would feel if I'm Arteta. So I think that he 100% did that. And I'm not too mad at it.
Yeah. I mean, like in the chat, we have Jason saying that Eze, Odegaard, and Timber, they were out before the international break, and I think Eze's out for 6 weeks,
Yes.
so he's probably not going to see a lot of football before the end of the season, and it's probably going to be a race against time for him to try and make the World Cup squad as well. So yeah, like there are legitimate injuries in there as well, but I think for the most part, it's just Arteta trying to like looking at the bigger picture. I need my players fit. I have a lot riding on
Yeah.
these final 7, 8 games, 9 games of the season. Let's try to make the most of it, and I'm going to try to field my strongest 11 as best as I can, and for the most
And
part of the season.
and you'll be happy to see that Gyökeres was performing
Yeah,
in
no,
this
he had a
time.
really, really good international break. So he's going to come back with a lot of momentum. And yeah, I think we might see a bit of a different type of Gyökeres when he returns to Arsenal. So I think this international break did him a lot of good. Somebody like Calafiori is probably going like these guys are professionals. They know when to compartmentalize different things, but I can't imagine that he's going to be feeling that great. So it's going to be down to somebody like Arteta to try and get him into the correct headspace for the final stretch of the season. Anything, Sia, do you want to add on before we move on to the next segment?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, we've seen this practice in the past quite a bit. And if you look at the totality of things, right, the amount of football these guys have played in the last 18 to 24 months, because you're going back, I mean, if we really want to now look at the load, you're talking about the Euros that happened where no one's actually had a proper break since then, because they've gone straight from the Euros into the league. From the league, a lot of guys played in the Club World Cup. Like, obviously, you had Chelsea and Liverpool participated in the Club World Cup. If I'm not mistaken, you had Real Madrid, PSG. And you saw PSG, how for the past 2 seasons, actually, they've started very slow in the Champions League, in the league. And then once the year turns and January hits, suddenly they are a different team, because all their guys have now, and it helps that they play in a weaker league, so they can kind of manage these guys. And you see the likes of Dembele, and Desiree Dua and so on, they hit their straps 9 Jan, Feb, and suddenly it's like, this isn't the team you saw in the group stage of the Champions League. So there's a lot of miles on players, and we are hopefully going to see a good World Cup, but I wouldn't be surprised also if come the World Cup, guys are going to be missing out because they get injured towards the back end of the league season. So that's definitely going to be one to watch as we go forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can wrap that one up in a tidy bow. And from the one part of North London to the other side of North London, and Igor Tudor, he was sacked by Tottenham Hotspur. I think I said it immediately. I was like, this guy's not going to last until the end of the season. There's like, just given his CV, he doesn't stay very long at the clubs that he is at. And just after what Tottenham needed from a manager, I just thought it was a very bad marriage in the first place. And yeah, he was sacked. There's about 7 games to go. And Tottenham have broken the bank basically for Roberto De Zerbi. The plan was to wait until the end of the season, and it was between De Zerbi and Mauricio Pochettino. This is according to Ben Jacobs, one of the journalists and reporters. They were going to wait until the World Cup and sort of make up their mind on who to succeed as the manager for Spurs. And yeah, this basically just forced them into doing something that they probably weren't comfortable with in the first place. 5-year contract for De Zerbi until 2031. I think there's an option for an extra year. Thought it will be interesting to see what happens if he doesn't save them from relegation.
I think this is a lot of pressure to put on him. I think it's a good move if he had a pre-season and if he had some time with the team, but coming in and they need at least, I think, 2 wins out of their next few games. I don't know where those wins are going to come from, because the teams that they would have seen as being easy or maybe not so easy now, I think, are they playing away at Wolves? Wolves is not as easy as maybe the start of the season, and these teams have everything to play for as well. So I think it's a tall order. I think it's a lot to expect. And in terms of his 5-year contract, is there like a relegation clause or something? No, yes?
I don't know the finer details. I don't think that they mentioned anything about the relegation clause. There probably is something to that effect included because of the position that they are in. So I would be very surprised if they didn't include that in the first place.
Listen, I just think it's ridiculous. What's it like, 4 managers this season? A player like Kulusevski, the last time he played for Tottenham, I think he was playing under Ange Postecoglou. Now he comes back 4 managers later and it's somebody new and it's something different. Look, out of all of the options, he's probably the one that's going to try and put confidence into these Tottenham players. I think maybe we can see that as being a positive. But I do feel like it's too little too late. I don't know, Ziad, what do you think?
Yeah, exactly. It's just the timing of it makes absolutely no sense because the Zerbi has a very specific style of play. Now, you're expecting a guy to walk into a dressing room where the team is 17th on the log and inspire everyone to fight for the next 7 games. That's not his style. Like, his style is very different, right? We saw it at Brighton. We saw it at, is it Marseille, where he was
Must say,
Yeah.
recently.
yeah,
And if you look at how he left Marseille also in in a cloud of smoke. Same thing with Brighton. He just up and left. Like, how is this the character that you want to lead your fight when you have to prevent relegation? And I think it could be a bit of overconfidence from Spurs, the hierarchy, because they think that they're not going to get relegated. I mean, it's impossible for Spurs to get relegated. And just the fact that they're thinking that way, I believe, is what could end up being the thing that cost them, because when is he going to have time to figure these guys out and train them and work with them? And we've seen that the players themselves are part of the problem. It hasn't just been the manager, right? These players haven't shown the spine to fight. I mean, their captain gets red cards, they're fighting, they're making silly errors at the wrong time of the season. They also have bad injury issues. You got Matistel also saying some things in the media, and it's just a very unhappy
yeah.
camp at the moment. And I don't think a De Zerbi is a guy that can rally the troops. And we could be wrong; they could stay up, but I feel that this appointment actually going to lead to relegation. I would have liked to have seen just an old school English manager come in and say, right, guys, it's 4-4-2 or 4-5-1, whatever we're gonna do. We're gonna shut up shop here. We're gonna try and play with a solid spine and nick a goal here and there and try to stay up. But I I honestly don't see this going well for Spurs. And like you said, is there a relegation clause? Because you sign a guy for 5 years and you get relegated. Is he going to manage in the championship? Is that part of the agreement between all of them? Because then, okay, it makes sense because then he'll come straight back up with his own style of play. But which player is going to want to stay? Obviously, they're going to get a pay cut, which is built into all their contracts. I think it could be up to 50% salary cut to stay at Spurs. But are you going to see Richarlison going to these championship teams next season? I don't think so. So
No chance.
it's just a mess, honestly, a mess, and it's sad to see because ideally they should be challenging in the top half of the table. They've got good players, they've got a fantastic stadium, they're doing well on the financial side of things, but unfortunately, it's not enough. You need to be able to put the product on the field, and
Hmm.
they're just a mess from top to bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean,
Where
like,
do you think the
since
points?
no, you can go,
So,
you can go.
but I was gonna actually ask you, where do you think the points is gonna come for them for the last, what's it, 7 games of the season?
So they
Yeah, we
have
were talking to
Sunderland,
us. Yeah,
Brighton, Wolves, Aston Villa, Leeds, Chelsea, and Everton. Those are insanely difficult games if we're looking at the current climate in the Premier League.
I think for
Exactly.
Spurs, they're
So
probably better off playing away. They probably have more chance of getting points away from home, away from the pressure of their fans booing and shouting, and it seems to be a trend where you can play better away from home because there's less pressure, and that I think is where they might get some points, but it's very difficult because every team they're gonna come up against is playing for something. So
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough. They're gonna have to go out and win games. No one's gonna give them anything, and I actually think Riaz might be right. When he said last night in our group chat, he can't see where the points are going to come from. And I'm getting that
yeah.
feeling from you guys as well. So, and I actually like how West Ham have been playing recently. I also think
yeah.
Forest are playing some pretty good football. They've got good players. Gibbs White can lead them. When I don't see Spurs having a player like Gibbs White or Jared Bowen, where's their version of that? Because that's who they need to help stay with relegation, right?
I think that they were hoping for somebody like Xavi Simons to come in and be that X factor player for them, and unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way for them and for him. I think that he's found the Premier League to be quite difficult. He doesn't have the freedom to do what he's done in the Bundesliga, what he's done in League One. So yeah, it's been a bit of a reality check for him. Just back onto the Roberto De Zerbi. since July 2021, he was at Shakhtar Donetsk for 1 year. Then he went on to Brighton. He was there for 1 year, 9 months. Blew up with the hierarchy, sort of burnt his bridges over there. And then he went on to Marseille, 1 year, 7 months. Again, started fighting with the hierarchy, lost 5-0 to PSG, and he was sacked the next day. So, like Siad said, fiery character. And you don't know what's going to happen with him when it comes to the executives above him.
Yeah, look, he's got a better style of football than Igor Tudor. But can you see the similarities in how long they stay at the club and the type of
Yeah.
effect they have on the dressing room and the management and whatever the case is? So yes, on a style point of view, he'll probably play better football in theory, but I'm worried about the dressing room because
Yeah.
they don't have any leaders, that they can rally around. That's my big issue with him, unfortunately.
I think he'll be okay with the dressing room. Better than his predecessor. I think his predecessor lost it immediately,
I don't think he had a chance, though.
Okay, fair. I think the problem will come, as you mentioned, as you alluded to, the higher ups. I think that's where the drama is going to come in.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's not going to keep his mouth shut. I think that's been a problem and a theme.
If it's weird how they end up back there because that's why Ange was let go because of more of his press conferences than anything else, and now they're back with a similar type of character. But Ange was a bit more. He wasn't as
He was a
bad,
nice
man. I
guy.
liked his press
He was a
conferences.
nice
He
guy.
was. It's that I
Yeah.
suppose we're just more used to the Aussie way than football. Football isn't used to the Aussie style. So
Yeah, that's fair.
But season 3 was supposed to be the best season yet.
But they took it away from us. They didn't give us the chance.
Okay, last one before we wrap this one up. Does Tottenham get relegated or not? Does the Zerbi save them and they stay in the Premier League? Tara.
I missed that because you froze. I'm assuming that you asked me if Tottenham is going to get relegated or not.
Yeah. Does the Zerbi save them and do they stay in the Premier League?
Sure. Like I said, I think it's a tall order. It's crazy to think that Tottenham can be relegated. I think it's a tough one because for me it seems like they're getting relegated, but who knows? I'm going to say they're going to scrape through. Just because that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I think they go down. I think West Ham and Forest are playing better at the moment. And down the stretch, I think they have a better ability to score. Not that Spurs don't have good players. They've got tons of good players, but they just haven't shown that ability to do it. And like I said, I think the likes of Jared Bowen and Gibbs White are going to do more for their team's relegation battles than anyone that Spurs have.
Yeah, I kind of like at first, like a few weeks ago, I thought Leeds is going to be dropping down and then they're going to be in that relegation spots. But I don't know, man. Like going from a 3-5-2, a passive 3-5-2 with Frank to a chaotic 3-5-2 with Tudor, and now trying to go back to a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3. That's way too much chaos in one season, and I think the players are off the train already. I can't see anything happening. I would like Spurs to stay in the Premier League just for the entertainment value and keeping the North London derbies going season on end. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a
Points
very
for
tough
Arsenal.
part. That also. Yeah. So I think that they might just drop here. Final second last segment of the episode, and we have the FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend. And I think the biggest fixture, the headline of the weekend is Man City hosting Liverpool at the Etihad Stadium. A lot riding on this fixture for both teams. I think in terms of momentum, City wins this, they know that there's still a lot available to them this season. They take that momentum into the Premier League as well. And then with Liverpool, they win this. Still a realistic expectation to win a cup. I mean, bar the Champions League, I know Liverpool's always a different beast in the Champions League, so anything is possible over there. But just with the way Arne Slot has been playing with his team this season, I thought you can basically speak for most fans, and like you guys really aren't filled with that much optimism. And yeah, how do you think on a slot, how do you think the players are approaching this fixture on Saturday?
I honestly don't know how Arne Slot is approaching this fixture. I know in this international break, Mo Salah announced that he'll be leaving at the end of the season. So hopefully he will be a part of the squad. I know there was like a niggle, but I think he should be a part of the starting lineup. Hopefully he hasn't checked out, and instead this is his farewell tour, and he's going to give it everything he's got, and that everybody plays for that as well, something special. Because you know what, we look at a player like Mo Salah, last season 34 goals, the season before that, this has been arguably the worst season on paper for somebody like Mo Salah, and you don't ever want him to go out like that, a legendary player like that. He's one of the best players to have ever played in this Premier League era. And but the reason why I'm mentioning that is because I think that will play a part in how the rest of the season goes, and how this particular fixture goes. Could be the last time we see him in the FA Cup, and so that's something to keep in mind. But then also Man City, like you mentioned, momentum, the way that they played against Arsenal, if they play that way against Liverpool, I do not see Liverpool winning. And then you talk about how Arne Slot approaches this fixture. Who knows? Who knows where he's going to play who and what? Is he going to put Ekatike on the bench? I mean, can we even afford something like that? Where's Gakpo going to play? He's going to find a way to fit Gakpo in some way.
Number 9.
Doesn't matter who.
He loves Gakpo in the number 9.
Yeah, which is absolutely ridiculous. I know Isak is back at training this week, but I don't think that we're going to see him play. Certainly not going to start him, not for such an important fixture. But I'm looking at this like an important fixture. But who knows what Arne Slot is thinking, if he's going to be experimental. Is he going to put Szoboszlai at right back? Is that what's going to happen? Because that's what he's been doing. Frimpong is injured. Maybe he's going to be fit if he... Yeah. Exactly. So let's say Frimpong doesn't play, then the likelihood of him putting Szoboszlai at right back is quite high. And I think that the only positive I can take from that, playing against this particular, what I assume this Man City side, would be him inverting, overloading the midfield, having Gravenberch there. Because I think that's what Arsenal were lacking in that Carabao Cup final, is that they were missing creativity in that midfield. And yeah, I think that's how they lost it there. And also they didn't really show up. But I think if that Man City team faces Liverpool, I think we're going to have big problems. I think there's going to be a lot of possession, a lot of pressure, that high line. Yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but like I said at the start of this, I don't know what you want me to say, because I can give my ideas of what I think should happen, but it's probably not going to happen. So now I'm trying to think like Arne Slot, but I don't even know what he's going to do. I just know Gakpo's going to be there. Maybe he'll be playing on the left wing. Maybe he'll be maybe he'll be put in an attacking mid position. Maybe he's going to be, like you said, number 9. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I think how it's going to play out is that Man City is going to win 2-1. That's how I see it playing out.
Yeah, no, I think like Onslaught he's become such a conundrum because there are certain games where Liverpool they look amazing. They are free flowing and their chemistry looks 100%. They just all look on the same wavelength, and that's when the goals come. That's when they don't concede. But then Onslaught will see that, and then the next game he goes a complete 180, and he goes against everything that he tried in the previous week, and yeah, then comes the slot out chance, and everybody goes to social media, starts slandering the team and starts slandering the manager and all of those things. So I think he's allergic to some sort of normalcy because he keeps on wanting to change things every single week. Siad?
Yeah, look, it depends if what you think is more important. Is it the FA Cup or the Champions League? Now, if you look at the timing of the game, City and Liverpool's an early kickoff on Saturday, which is not ideal when you have players traveling back after international duty. They'll all be on flights yesterday and today, obviously, coming into training only tomorrow for the first time. So that's Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday you have an early kickoff. Because on my time here it says 3:45, so I'm assuming it's like a noon kickoff in the UK, which is very
Yes.
early, right? You don't have much time to prepare. So if you consider all of that, I think he probably doesn't pick his strongest 11, and he's got his eye on the Champions League against PSG. Now you might say, okay, but is that a good idea or not? Which is a trophy you would prioritize at this point? And I think I'd lean towards the Champions League. It's much harder though because you're on the tougher side of the draw. You got PSG, and if you get through this game, then I think it's the winner of Real Madrid and Bayern. So it is a tougher draw, but it's a bigger trophy. So I think I'd lean more towards not focusing too much on the FA Cup, and I try to focus on the Champions League a bit more. So I think that's where he's going to lean. And then at the end of the day, the 11 that plays against City isn't going to be the best 11. It's going to be the best available 11 who is closer to 100%. So you might see players in different positions, like you mentioned, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that. But the same goes for City. A lot of their players were on international duty, and they have blown hot and cold this season. We've seen it. I mean, they couldn't beat Spurs. Right, so as much as they took Arsenal apart in it's they play different against different teams, and that's what way if you look from Liverpool's angle, they have a good chance because you don't know if City's up for the FA Cup, or they into it or they're not, because they lost the Champions League, right? So you might have that in their favor, but for them also the league's the priority, and I can see them also kind of not worrying too much if they go through or not, because then at least it's one less competition for their players when it comes to this end of the season. So it's going to be interesting to see what type of condition the players are in, but I think Liverpool have a pretty good chance to get the result. I mean, for me, it could go either way.
Because we haven't gotten a result this entire season against Man City.
Yeah, it's a cup, so anything can happen, right?
Yeah,
it's not like City are that same team. You can go look at their fixtures and stuff. Obviously, they took Arsenal apart, but they haven't done that a lot of times to other teams. So I wouldn't look at one game in isolation and be like, that's what City's going to do to Liverpool. I think they have every chance for Liverpool to do something.
I looked at that game and I was like, yo, Semenyo looking so good. I mean, it looked very good to me. And maybe they don't play their strongest team, and then Liverpool have a chance. And maybe I don't know what Honest, as I said, I don't know what Honest Lots is gonna do. And you're right. Anything can happen. But I need to actually sit and see it happening. That's where I'm at. I can't say. I can't be as
Yeah,
optimistic.
I guess where I would say Liverpool could lose the game is on the wings. I don't think their right back, left back, that's going to be an issue that Man City could easily exploit with the likes of Semenyo, Doku, Shirky, obviously. Then you've also got Nunes. You've got who plays left back, Nico O'Reilly as well. So if
Yeah,
Liverpool
yeah,
can find a way to track all those guys, then they have a better chance. But if they don't do that, then yeah, it could be a long afternoon for them. But I think when it comes to scoring goals, Liverpool have as good a chance to score as City do. I mean,
yeah.
Ekatika
And
is really good.
I
Soboslai,
think
I mean, that
also,
goal Soboslai almost scored for Hungary was phenomenal. I mean, he beat 2-3
yeah,
players. It's just the keeper that kept it from being a worldie. So yeah,
I think also what could happen is, and we've seen Onslaught do this in the cup competitions where he swaps between Allison and Mamadashvili as well. So we
Allison's
don't know
likely
what
going to be out.
goalkeepers. Sorry.
Allison's likely going to be out.
So then Mamadashvili probably starts in goal. And the times when he has played this season, like even though he came in as a keeper with a lot of promise and stuff like that, I think the fact that he hasn't been playing a lot of football has probably like brought down his confidence a little bit. And yeah, he has a mistake or two in him every single game. So I think that City's probably going to try to keep that in their mind as well. They're going to try to get Highland to put him under a lot of pressure for the most part, and things like that could count against Liverpool. But you spoke about how you saw Man City played against Arsenal in the Carabao Cup final, and I think that word is the biggest difference. They were in a final that time. This is a quarter final. There's still a long way to go for them to get to that point of putting that game face on and like taking it as serious as the final. And like she had said, they want the Premier League. For we spoke about this last week as well. What would we think is a successful season for Pep Guardiola? And I still think that without the Premier League or the Champions League, you would see the season as a failure. So I still think that he's going to go all or majority of his eggs in the basket of trying to still win the Premier League, whereas the FA Cup isn't really as high on his list. Whereas I think that for Liverpool and honest, like trying to get a cup or trying to get some form of silverware, that's going to be more of a priority than. I think that they've made peace with the fact that they probably will just get top five in the Premier League, get the Champions League spot, and they'll be okay for next season. But I think in terms of priorities, Liverpool could have the edge over City this weekend. And with that, I'm going to go, Ziad. What are your predictions for this game on Saturday?
I think there's no second leg, right? And there's no
No, it's
replays.
one
It
and done.
goes. So I think a game goes to penalties, 1-1, and then I think Liverpool will edge the penalties.
Sure.
Okay. Father, you said 2-1 earlier to City. Do you stand by that, or are you going to back your boys?
I think that City will beat them 2-1 because, they already beat Liverpool twice this season. They fresh. I know you don't want me to mention the Carabao Cup, but I mean, that really, if you need something to instill confidence in you, I think that did. And like all the key players you mentioned in that Man City squad, unless Pep is suspended. Well, what he's banned from that, but he'll still be
Yeah.
involved on his phone, probably watching from wherever. And they have the other Pep there. I think that gave them confidence. I think momentum as well. So unless they rest their star players, I think it's going to be a tall order for Liverpool. So I think that that's how it's going to play out. I think that it's going to be Man City 2-1. I don't want it to be, but that's objectively how I see it right now.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the day, the form is going to go out to the window. I think you guys mentioned that Liverpool will score goals, so I'm going to go with Liverpool 3-2 on the day. It's going to be a high scoring game. But yeah, I think I think Pep's priority is the Premier League, so he'll probably he probably really won't put as much importance as we think on it. But yeah, it's still going to be a great game to watch for a neutral. Quite entertaining, hopefully. And yeah, that is the preview all done and dusted. As I said at the beginning, there is a small little game that I've sort of concocted for the April Fool's um, edition of the 343 podcast. And we're going to go in rounds. So Ziad, you will have one round, then Tara will have the next round, and so it goes. And I'm going to give you three statements, basically two truths and a lie. And yeah, you're just going to have to pick out which one is untruthful. So Ziad, I'm going to start with you. And this is an Arsenal centric round. So the three statements are, and I mean, in the chat, if you guys are still there, you can also point out which ones you think is untruthful and which ones are actually true. So the three statements are: Arsenal once had three different captains stripped of the armband within 5 years. The second statement: Arsene Wenger banned his players from driving sports cars to training. And the third one: Arsenal once played a Champions League match with 0 English players in the starting 11.
So you want me to tell you the one that's false?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the second one, the sports car thing. I think there was definitely a game we played with all foreigners. I'm pretty sure that happened. And if I'm wrong, then it's probably Ashley Cole was the only Englishman in the team at the time. And the first one I think is right. I mean, I don't know what your definition of being stripped of captaincy, but we've had terrible luck with captains, so I'm gonna go with the second one.
Yeah, you are 100% correct. So the first one, the three captains that were stripped: William Gallas in 2008, Cesc Fabregas in 2011 after the whole Barcelona saga, and then the last one, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang after his spat with Arteta. Cool. And then yeah, the 0 English players, that was in the Champions League during the mid 2000s. There were multiple occurrences that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, and now Tara, a Liverpool edition for you. Liverpool once played a Premier League match with 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Jurgen Klopp banned players from doing commercial photo shoots during congested fixture periods. And the last one, Liverpool once had a player score a hat-trick with all 3 goals coming from outside of the box. Which one is false?
Maybe number 2.
So Jurgen Klopp banning players from doing commercial photo shoots during a congested fixture period is true.
That sounds like
So the false one is that Liverpool never ever had 2 goalkeepers on a Premier League bench.
Sorry, I was choosing the true. Not the false.
Yeah, I would have for sure thought they had 2 goalkeepers on their bench at some point, especially considering with squads this past season. A lot of teams have gone into games with 2 goalkeepers.
Cool. So, Ziad, you have the lead 1-0. Next one, Manchester United edition. Man United once fined a player for eating a pre-match pie. Sir Alex Ferguson banned players from wearing colored boots unless they have earned it. And Man United once played a Premier League match with 7 academy graduates in the starting 11.
Yeah, the academy graduates, that's a given. They probably did that in the mid to late 90s, I guess. That colored boots one is interesting because he threw the boot at Beckham. So it could be, it sounds like something you could do. And what was the first one again?
Man United once fined a player for eating a pre-match pie.
Nah, I'm gonna say that's the false one. Let the mana eat their pies.
So that is the false one, but a team did actually find a player for eating a pre-match pie at Sutton United. His name was Wayne Shaw. I don't know
Yeah,
if you remember a few years ago, there
yeah,
was a player
yeah.
that got fined. But yeah, the coloured boots rule, that is true. 7 academy graduates, United, the in the mid 2000s, they were famous for doing that on more occasions than none. Tara, Ziad is leading 2-1 at the moment. So
Just like
let's
Man
try to.
City over.
Where
Oh,
did she get one, my bro?
he's
She was
leading,
now
he's
what
leading
was
2
now
0,
1
2
no.
0,
Now it's about
sorry,
2-1. It's my
Oh, it's
2
giving
0,
ghost
2
no.
goals
0,
here.
2 0.
Yeah, I was
Morocco,
actually also
Senegal, yeah.
wondering where
What
he got the
time?
one from.
Chelsea edition. Chelsea once had more players out on loan than any other club in Europe. Jose Mourinho banned players from using mobile phones at the Cobham training ground. And Chelsea once played a Premier League match with no recognized striker in the squad.
Ooh, okay. I think that the it's the false one. So Jose Mourinho, I think he definitely did that. What was the first one?
The first one was Chelsea once had more players out on loan than any other club in Europe.
That also seems legitimate. Oh, Ziad.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
um, I'm gonna go with number 3.
So you're saying the number 3 is the false one.
Yes.
So Chelsea once played a Premier League match with no recognized striker in the squad. That is the false one. And that is incorrect.
Correct.
Chelsea under Tuchel and Conte both fielded matchday squads with no natural striker due to injuries or tactical choices. The fictional or the false one is that Jose Mourinho banned phones in meetings, not at the entire training ground.
Oh no, but the others,
Technicality. Look at
the
this, bra.
others,
Fang you.
yeah, exactly. The
Yo.
others were so true that I was like, the others were so true. Like, and I know that he did that. Ah, the technicality. Oh,
Okay, here's
Ziad, it's on
Man
you.
City
Do
one
we not
for
get to ask
Ziad.
him?
Sorry, Tade?
We don't have anything to ask him. He got all the answers there. He prepared it lekker. So next time we can get him.
Okay.
Yeah. Next time, make it tough. Man
We can
City
do a
edition.
side mission against him to expose him.
Pep Guardiola once banned players from using Wi-Fi at the training ground. Man City once played a Champions League match with 0 shots on target. Guardiola banned players from eating birthday cake at the training ground.
Birthday cake is true. I think I'm gonna go with the first one, the Wi-Fi thing. That sounds like a very corporate thing. If you want to use your phone, use your own data.
That is, yeah, correct. He banned mobile phones during meals, not Wi-Fi. So that is the fictional one, the
See,
false
but
one.
I benefited from
Yeah.
your angle with the one before because I knew
Yeah,
you're trying to catch us.
that's fair.
So
Okay,
you left a
Tade,
goal
we have
open for me there.
Spurs up next. Spurs once had a manager who only lasted 10 matches. Tottenham once had held training sessions at 11 p.m. to avoid media leaks. Spurs once had a player who refused to train because the grass was too long.
Oh. Mm. So they trained at 11 p.m. to avoid media leaks.
Is that the false one that you're saying?
And
I think that's legit. I want to say that would have been under like Martin Yall or someone
Yeah.
like that.
And yeah, I'm thinking so deeply about this. I don't want to get called out again. And what was the first one? Just
The first one
taking-
was Spurs once had a manager who lasted only 10 Premier League matches.
I think that it, and the third one, yours, like I'm focusing so deeply on each
The
one.
third one
What
is
was the
Spurs
third
once
one?
had a player who refused to train because the grass
Oh.
was too long.
Because of the grass. Oh.
Take the grass one. The reason I say that is because it's going to be something like silly, like it wasn't that the grass was too long, it was that the grass was artificial grass or something.
No, but the thing is, but it could be the first one. And the reason why I say this is because it could be, you could have thought of some other technicality, you know.
He's got he's mental us.
Okay, Todd is frozen now.
Always got it into my head. I'm not frozen, I'm here.
Okay.
Number one.
Okay, we see you. We see you.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Easy.
So what's your
I'm
answer?
not frozen anymore.
Which is the false statement?
Number one.
Number one is incorrect. Nuno Espirito Santo lasted 10 Premier League games before being sacked. Etihad was right. The grass complaint was the false statement. It's a myth often misattributed to multiple clubs and players. So yeah, that's not legit. So one more round each. I mean, Etihad is 3-0 at the moment.
I
so
thought that
you can take the
let's-
win if you want to.
Listen,
If you want,
golden
if you
goal,
want to get
golden
the
goal,
win.
golden
Okay,
goal.
golden goal.
If I get it wrong, I lose all my points.
Okay, we'll do
Make
golden
it
goal.
interesting.
Siad, you have Newcastle edition. Newcastle once had a manager who resigned via a fax machine. Newcastle once played a Premier League match with no substitutes available. And Newcastle's owners once discussed signing Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah. I'm going to keep the Ronaldo one in. That was a discussion. Probably with the newer owners than the older ones. The no subs one is intriguing. It could be. And then the fax machine one. I think that happened. So I'll go with the false one is no subs.
False one is no subs. Yeah, they've had injury crises, but never a PL match with 0 subs. Kevin Keegan resigned via fax in 1997 during his first spell. And then after the Saudi takeover, Newcastle's owners explored marquee signings, including Ronaldo and Neymar. Tara,
I remember.
we have a Brighton edition for you.
Yeah.
And this is the last one. Brighton once signed a player without ever seeing a single video clip of him. So this is the Brighton scouting department. Brighton once sold the player for more than 20 times what they paid. And Brighton once played a Premier League match with a defender starting as a striker. Which is the false statement?
I don't think that the first one is false. I think that. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah. I can hear you now.
Okay.
So you heard what I said.
Do you want me to?
I don't think the first one is.
You don't think the first one is false? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't think it is. I'm looking at Ziad's face there, but he's frozen to me, so I'm not actually getting much from him. What was the third one?
The third one is Brighton once played a Premier League match with a defender starting as a striker.
No, I think that is possible as well. And the second one, Ziad, make eye contact with the camera.
I try not to give it away. Yeah. No, I actually have no clue.
The second one is Brighton.
I like the
sold
defender striker one.
Yeah. Brighton once sold a player for more than 20 times what they paid.
Yeah, I think that's a standard Brighton thing.
I think that it's. Yo, this is another tough one. 3.
So you're saying 3 is the false one?
Yes.
Okay. And that is incorrect. Brighton used Dan Burn and Adam Webster as strikers during an injury crisis under Graham Potter. And they sold Moises Caicedo for 100 million plus after paying 4 million for him. And the false one is Brighton are a data-heavy and very, data-heavy club, and they always use video, statistics, and analytics to scout their players.
No, man, wasn't there a story where one player was bought and they were like, we'd never seen this player?
Yeah, so that's again on the technicalities. They never saw him in person. So the coach didn't see him play, but the scouting department had watched videos. That's his angle.
That's why, I literally repeated different parts of the sentences to make sure that I'm saying the key words properly. But yeah, that is the end of the game. Ziad wins, golden goal, and normal time as well. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was very fun to sort of concoct this game on the side as well. But yeah, that's the end of our show. It's a very long one today. Apologies. Tudor, thank you so much for joining us once again. Please plug whatever you have going on. Tell the people where they can find you, where they can listen to you.
Thank you. You can find me on Goodhope FM on weekends. You can also find me on SABC Sport and on social media at the Tara Lee on Instagram and TikTok, even Facebook, although I don't spend a lot of time there, but I'm there.
Cool. Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for joining us, Ziad. Where can the people find you? What are you getting up to in your free time, your spare time?
Yeah, got a lot going on for the sporting things, a lot of news we've been covering recently. So obviously we got hopefully we have a cricket show coming up in the next couple of weeks with Cricket Fanatics, so you can watch the space for that. Golf's heating up. We got one tournament this weekend, followed by the Masters next weekend. So some coverage on that from myself, obviously Jason as well will be weighing in with that. And then baseball season has started, so you'll see on the Sportycast channel A lot of updates on baseball. NBA is going into the playoffs in the near future, so a couple of weeks, and we're going to be into the playoffs. So a lot of sport coming in, all these different things that we cover on the Sportycast channel, and then myself obviously mostly active on Threads at the moment, so just posting whatever sport I find on there. But yeah, the world of sport is quite busy at the moment, so engage with us on all our platforms: Facebook, Threads, X. We everywhere. I'm posting updates every day.
Yeah, like Ziad said, follow us everywhere on social media. We are at Sportycast. Daily updates on all types of sports. And yeah, myself, I am at AF Parker 642 on all social media platforms. It is Daredevil season at the moment, so I'm watching a lot of that. I'm going
One
to
Piece.
try to I'm gonna try to catch up on One Piece as well, but it's Comic Con at the end of the month, so I'm gonna do it closer to that time so that all of the content stays fresh in here for when I have to interview the cast members. And yeah, that is all from us at Sportycast. Thank you so much. Have an amazing week further. Have an amazing Easter weekend coming up, and yeah, peace.